Hi, you are now listening to an episode of What is Your Story by Noisy Podcast. Enjoy!
Okay, hi, my name is Azekwoh. I'm an artist, author, and I'm a creative entrepreneur as well. And this is my story. My story starts right from when I was a child, I think. I'd always been really obsessed with stories and culture and fantasy. And I'd always just wondered why we weren't there. It's like when you go to the bookstores at that time, you didn't really see many Nigerians, you didn't really see our own culture and stories on TV at that time, and it just did fuel me to want to put our own stories out there. Around when I was 13 or so, I guess I'm in secondary school at this time, and prior to then I was very troublesome kid, lots of fights, suspensions here and there. I was still very much grappling with being a sensitive child and not having, any outlet. And I think it was, the world was just very crowded for me. Then I did stumble into writing thanks to Kola Tobosho, who became a mentor of mine, but he was a teacher. He had started out as an English teacher, and it really just opened a whole door in my head of possibilities. And writing did something just really incredible now that I think about it. And who knows, maybe that's something I'm going to be working on now, because it's been a while since I actually sat down and clarified in my head. Again, it's when you're in that state and your mind is jumbled and you're having thoughts. For me, it really did help being able to straighten things out. It was a form of introspection, and it helped me just process my feelings, I guess. And more so helped me learn how to communicate those feelings and have people connect and share with them. So writing definitely changed my life, the trajectory of my life as well. A couple years later, I started writing, posting my work online, and it became a thing where people knew me as Anthony the writer. And they were it's that guy who writes and does poetry or whatever. And I was cool with it. It was also fun, I guess, having an identity. Because I'd also always felt very invisible, and now I had this superpower that not many people had. I guess stuff continued to progress until 2016 December, where there was a minor pause, and what happened was my laptop had broken and my handwriting sucks, so that means essentially I couldn't write. So, but then I had leftover A4 papers in the house, pens, and I started just drawing designs and all that. And I remember my mom, I showed her, she was like, "Wow, this is really nice." Writing is interesting in the sense where it's almost you're writing those messages and you're putting them in the bottles and you're throwing them into the sea. You don't quite know if anybody's going to ever open and see this, and if they do, they're almost always far removed from that point in space and time. With art though, it's the relationship is instantaneous. It's I can make this painting and put it up on this wall, and then you can actually see this painting and react to it, me and you can share this moment. That's not something that happens often with writing, automatically. And I think that was also something that was so interesting to me, being able to have that shared, communal experience with people. Having that point where, how do I say it just felt I was properly communicating and feeling things as I should. And I think as things progressed, I started going to uni, and what happened then was really just, it was a lot, because I feel university again, university fucking sucked, man. It was a horrible place. And it was just restrictive to any sensible thoughts and motion, and it really did affect me. And my work was the only solace I could find, because it's how else could I process all these really stupid people and rules and regulations and restrictions. It was really fucking awful. At some point, I guess 5 years after, I was studying chemical engineering, for some fucking reason. And I think for me, I had to leave, and I wrestled with the decision for 2 years, because at the same time in those 2 years, my work had been gaining more traction, more people were getting to know me. I was starting to make something that you could call a decent living, I guess, off of my work, and it just made less and less sense to be in this chemical engineering degree that I was failing, and I hated. So I remember we had like exams. It was like, I was doing exam season. I'll never forget, it's raining this morning. And I thought to myself that, damn, I'm gonna leave. And I just left. And that really just started a whole new chapter of my life. That decision of, you know what, I'm just going to just leave, fuck this. And it was hard in the sense where it's like, I had no idea how I was going to swing this. I had no idea how I was going to make this work. There was no plan, no structure. I hadn't told my parents yet. I was very sure I was going to be killed by them. But all I knew was that, I'm lying. I did know something. And what I knew was that this art thing, this writing thing, this creativity thing, it's in my blood, it's in my veins. This is the thing I was made to do, and I need to pursue it. I'm looking back now, and it's like, I don't think I've ever been as sure of anything like this before. And I've held very close and tightly to that feeling and that structure since then. Now, logistically, obviously, now, I've left uni, but now it meant that I had a bigger obstacle in my head, which was I have to make this art career work somehow. So it was like, okay, great, I have to do an exhibition. But here's the thing, no gallery wants to work with me because I'm a digital artist. Which was fucking stupid. You guys, bro, I paint as well. I can go toe to toe with these painters. I'm working, duh. But, at the time and even now, everybody had their own biases, which was cool. So in my head, I was doing the math. I was like, okay, great. This is 2021. People have known my work for a couple years. A lot of people, are familiar with the name, but they don't know me quite. That means I kind of need to go on what I did not at the time. It was a press run. I was like, okay, I need to introduce myself to people. So we started doing these things called the pop-ups, where it's the exhibition was going to be called Homecoming the Exhibition. And in my head it was Homecoming because it's I had been majority schooling in Ogun State for the past 5 years. So now I was okay, I'm properly back in Lagos, properly back home, but also back home to my center, doing the work I love. So the structure was, okay, we're going to do 3 pop-ups, September, October, November, and then the big exhibition in December. And the pop-ups expended more money than ordinary would have spent. But the goal was I wanted to get used to, these were my first shows. And again, it's there's no galleries. So it's we're just renting spaces and putting the work up ourselves, selling the work. But what that did is that people would come and they would share it and they'll have cool experiences. And I'm a vibe, so the shows were a vibe. So it was a cool exchange of energy, all of those things. And it was really, really fun. It was fun. And then came the big exhibition where it's Michael Freeman's space here. He graciously allowed us to use the space. We built the walls ourselves, we measured it, we curated it, just me and my team, no gallery, no agency, no whatever. And it was incredible because again, this 2021, crazy, 4 years ago, not many people were doing things like this. And it was just incredible to take control of my own path and future like that. And then we sold out the pieces, everybody went home, it was just really incredible. I think on a career point, that was a high point, but then on a personal life point, I was going through a low thing because again, it's at that time I was also fighting this war with my family, my parents in particular. It was over the decision and the fallouts because I'd also left home. And then you have these thoughts and opinions and everybody trying to make peace of the situation. By the time I guess everyone's our bloods were just too hot, so we just couldn't quite have a amicable settlement. And I guess things just dragged on for a bit. And with it, and something I look back on now is also, if you can imagine, it's imagine going on a whole 3-4 month run of these shows and these things, and everybody's just telling you how great you are, but then you're going home to this apartment that's just you, and you've never even lived alone properly in Lagos before.
Are you enjoying this episode so far? If you love stories that make you feel at home and you love reading December love stories, check out our anthology, A Man and a Woman and Other Stories. You can get a copy of this book at Roving Heights Bookstore in Nigeria or at Vidya Bookstore in Ghana. You can also check out the link in our description box below for all of this information. Noisy Streets also hosts monthly book club meetings every last Saturday of the month. You can find all the information you need in the box below. Okay, let's get back to the episode.
So it was a very lonely and depressing time at many points. I'm happy my friends, we had lots of just interesting points in time when they would come over, but still it was just really mostly me alone, and I think I really had to struggle with that for a while. Years passed and I really started to get the hang of things, because at the end of the day, this artistic journey and life is full of ups and downs, even though I feel like I've had more downs than on my fair share. But still, the next year again, taking the show to Abuja, start traveling again, reconnecting with my London base, because that's also a space where, London was one of those places where my family, we spent a lot of time there. Half of my family is there now on my mom's side, and it's it was fun being able to see everyone again, seeing cool artists and seeing what everybody was doing, seeing in person what Sloan was doing was very inspiring. And I was okay, damn, Lagos is cool, but the one there's a whole fucking world out there that, we need to be cognizant of. I think 2022 was just really that year of just growth and being able to keep pushing and elevating. 2023 came and that was horrible, man. The markets crashed, there was this weird recession. I up to that point had been used to, when you make plans, you're used to 90% of your plan failing. You're used to 95, you're used to 99. But 2023, I remember 100% of every single thing I was working on flopped. All our plans, all our deals, everything shattered. And it meant that for the first time, damn, inflow is fucked. I'm fucked. And it triggered a huge fear of mine where it's what if I run out of money? What if people stop liking my work? What if I lose that ability? And yeah, that was a very depressing year and time because I just didn't know how to handle that. Up until then, I felt I was the golden child, the chosen one. And here I was just not being able to quite hit things that landed. But then, these things happen, and I learned that, these storms, they come and they go. And really at the end of the day, your goal is just to stay alive. My goal was to stay alive, and huge determinants of that were also the great people I had around me. Kiton, for instance, that's my manager. He's someone that really did just save my life, especially in that dark time. I had met Kiton was first of all, Kiton used to just help us draft contracts. That was his first thing, because at that point in time I started just signing and having to read all of these agreements and such and such and such, and we needed someone who knew the know-how. As time went on, it's just because he would not only give feedback, but he'd also he'd be well, after giving feedback, he'd be well, you could also do this, and I'd be okay, that's interesting. And he had this very keen eye and incredible sense of just the space and how to navigate it. And at some point he joined the team as our creative strategist, and then at some point we had a falling out, which some could say it was my fault. I mean, depending which story, but it was actually my fault. It was me. And again, as a creative, I felt it was that point of high pressure and things weren't working out, and it's I was just having a very hard time processing what happened. And it's you're playing the blame game, you're blaming everyone, but conveniently you're not blaming yourself, which is at the end of the day the whole quote-unquote artist thing. But yeah, I did have very, very big roles to play in just how things are planned out and what we call, AS Studios 1.0. And yeah, like, Kita and I, we had splits, and it was like a whole Davido and Asa thing. And I think months later, we did speak, and he came back on board, and he came back at the worst possible time. Like, in fact, it's like the ship wasn't even sinking. It already sunk. Like, it's on the waterbed. Like, and I'm just like, fuck. But he, chose to come back at that time and really just help me like make sense of things. And it was a very bitter period. Like, these are some of the worst days, weeks, months of my life so far. But having someone that could see me, that was working with, that I could share those moments with, like, was invaluable. So I think like having good people around me has always been. It's my mother's like prayers that are working. I probably should pray more. Like those things helped. Like just having good people alone, like it's just driven like the trajectory of my life as well. And yeah, I think 2023 came and went. 2024 was fun. 2024. The second half was fun. The first half was still like, we're still dealing with like hell from 2023, but like the next half, 2024 was fun. And it really was just us and just kicking high gear, like experimenting again, like being able to shed old processes, like try new stuff and become better. And I think for me, that's where it's been, the past 5 years of us, the past 10 years of just creating, it's really been a trajectory of me trying to be better today than I was yesterday. Like not just, with skill, but also as a person, as a human being, trying to be a better brother, son, friend, who knows, maybe someone's boyfriend, still an husband, a father, who knows, like, these things are crazy. But yeah, like at the end of the day, it's really just been that. Trying to be better, trying to curate better experiences for the people who care, the people who are coming for these shows, and trying to elevate my work as well in that process. And I would say that's really what it's looked like and felt like. And now it was interesting because this year alone we've done my 5th solo exhibition, and it's crazy because when you have people that come up and they're asking me for like advice. I'm like, my first instinct is always to be like, dog, like, what? Why the fuck are you asking me? I don't know anything. Like, I'm just chilling. But then, annoyingly, this past couple of months, I realized that, oh no, damn, like, I do know stuff. We did experiment to the point that like we do have some form of expertise to like guide people, especially on that journey. It's like that meme where it's like, when you accidentally become important at work, and it's like, oh no, like fuck, I'm done, I'm cooked. And yeah, I think where I am right now is, I guess, a point of acceptance, accepting all like the bad but also good things that have happened, and being able to channel that into my work. I feel like some of my work has reflected my mental state, which honestly just felt like war. Every day I'm just waking up and it's just back to back, man, just being slammed just against like things. But then at the same time, if I just look across the room, there's like lots of great things happening. And right now, I don't know exactly what I'm working on, but then everything I'm working on, I want to symbolize that feeling of like hope, of things getting better, of things get fucked up here and there, but the things also like right themselves as well. And I want people to have that feeling when they look at my work, I want them to feel hopeful, feel strong again, and feel like somehow through some way, like this crazy journey can make sense. So that's my story. Thank you guys for listening. You can follow me on social media everywhere. You can also, I don't know, what else do I want? I don't know, man, like, send me a boomerang. Have you ever had a boomerang before? No, exactly. I want a boomerang. If you're listening to this, I want a boomerang. Someone should be able to send a boomerang. There should be a boomerang somewhere in Lagos.
We hope that you enjoyed listening to this episode of What Is Your Story by Noisy Podcast. If you would like to be a guest on the show, please click in the link in the description box below. And don't forget to share, leave a comment, and like this episode. Okay, I'll see you the same time next week. Bye.